This will be the third and final video for today. We're going to continue to talk about metric and customary measurement conversions. We're going to kind of mix them together along with, besides just talking about length, we're going to talk about volume, capacity, weight, and mass as well. First off, you don't have to memorize any of the actual conversion units because you can always look at a chart, and then we're going to use unit rates in order to convert from either larger to smaller or smaller to larger. If you're taking the STAR test online, all of these conversion charts will be available in the tools that you have on the toolbar. So we're going to convert 6 yards into feet. So the first thing we have to do is come over here and look for yards and feet. Is that going to be length, volume, capacity, weight, or mass? Go ahead and answer that for me. Very good. Those are units of length. Okay, so if we're doing units of length, then we have to figure out, okay, which is the larger unit and which one is the smaller unit. So here is length, and we have yard and feet. So what is the larger unit, yards or feet? Answer that, please. Very good. Yards are larger. So we're going to be going from a larger unit to a smaller unit. Does that mean we're going to need more units or less units in order to find the equivalent? Answer that, please. All right, so we know that we have 6 yards. Okay, so the unit rate that we can use over here in the chart, we know that 1 yard is the same as 3 feet. And we could also use 3 feet is the same as 1 yard. These are both unit rates. But which one are we going to use in order to cancel out yards and be left only with feet? Now, since we're going to be multiplying these and this is going to involve fractions, we have to make 6 into an improper fraction. What does 6 look like as an improper fraction? Answer that for me, please. Very good. We're just going to put it over the number 1, which means that yards will be on top. And in order for us to cancel out the yards will have to be on the bottom. So this is the unit rate that we're going to be using. So we're going to put 3 feet over 1 yard. And when we do that, the bottom yard is going to cancel out the top yard, and we're only going to be left with feet. Now what we have to do is finish multiplying. So what is 6 times 3? Answer that for me, please. Very good. That's going to be 18 feet. And of course, 1 times 1 is 1. And what's the simplified version of 18 feet over 1? Simply 18 feet. And to bring it back to the beginning, 18 feet is equivalent to 6 yards. Okay, this next word problem, we are still working with customary units. We have a project in which Michael needs 7.5 feet of plywood for his woodworking project. How many yards of plywood will he need? So we are starting out knowing that we have 7.5 feet. Now tell me, is that length, volume, and capacity, or weight? Answer that, please. Very good. We are still talking about length, and we are actually converting feet to yards this time instead of yards to feet. So let's answer this question. If we have 1 yard for every 3 feet, which one is a larger unit, yards or feet? Very good. Yes, again, the answer is still yards are larger. So the unit rate will either be 1 yard for every 3 feet, or we will have 3 feet for every 1 yard. And we could use either one of these in different situations, but we want to be able to cross out the feet and end up with yards because it's asking us for the answer to be in yards. All right, so before we do anything, we know we're going to end up multiplying because conversions are all about different numbers of units or dividing a larger unit into smaller units and so forth. So we're going to be using multiplication and division. And in order to do that with fractions, we have to come up with an improper fraction. So what is 7 1/2 as an improper fraction? Remember, we multiply the whole times the number of pieces and add what's left over. Answer that, please. Very good. 7 times 2 is 14 plus 1 is 15. So we're going to end up with 15 halves worth of feet, and the feet's on top. So when we multiply, we're going to need to use the one where the feet are on the bottom. So we're going to end up with 1 yard over 3 feet. And the feet will cancel out. We'll be left with our answer being in yard units. So what is 15 times 1? Answer that, please. Very good, it's 15. And what is 3 times 2? 6. Now this is the correct answer, but it's not the correct final answer because this is not simplified. We have to turn this back into a mixed number. So in order to do that, we have to divide the number of pieces by the number of pieces in each whole, which is the denominator 6. So go ahead and we're going to set the problem up. The answer will be in fractional form, not decimal form. So please make sure you do that. Let's go ahead and divide 15 by the number 6. Okay, 6 goes into 15 twice. Subtract the 12. We have 3 as our remainder. So 2 3/6 is the answer, but it's not the final answer, again, because that's not the most simplified version. What is a better form, the most simple form of 3/6? Answer that, please. Very good, 1/2. And so the answer is going to be that 7 1/2 feet is equivalent to 2 1/2 yards. Okay, this time we're converting 64 ounces into pounds. So I'm going to write this so that it's a little bit larger for us. 64 ounces. And we want to know how many pounds that will be. And LB is the Latin abbreviation for a word that means pounds. So that's just something we have to actually memorize. So we're converting ounces to pounds, so is that going to be length, volume, capacity, or weight? Go ahead and answer that for me. Very good. It's going to be weight. And so what we know about ounces and pounds is that for every 1 pound, there are 16 ounces. So the unit rate that we're going to use is either 1 pound equals 16 ounces, or it could be that we'll use the version of 16 ounces over 1 pound. Now remember, we are going to be writing the whole numbers as improper fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're going to put 64 ounces over the number 1. That means ounces will be on the top, and we want to make sure ounces is on the bottom so that we can cancel it out. So that means this first version is what we're going to use. So we're going to put 1 pound over 16 ounces so that these 2 ounces are going to cancel out. So what is 64 times 1? Go ahead and answer that for me. Very good. Very good. And even though it looks like the number 11, that's actually LB. So 64 times 1 is 64. And what is 1 times 16? Excellent. That's 16. So now we have to convert this improper fraction of 64 sixteenths of pounds so that we have a mixed number in the most simplified form. So go ahead and divide 64 by 16 and tell me what your answer is. All right, so when we do the division, 64 divided by 16, we find out that 4 times 16 is 64. So 64 ounces is going to be equivalent to 4 pounds, and no further simplification is needed. It's in order to convert one unit of measure to another unit of measure. And of course, there are many different combinations, but the technique is the same for all of these different things: length, volume, capacity, weight, mass. And please remember that this chart is available to you when you do anything, whether you're taking a test in class or if you are taking the STAR test. You don't have to memorize these numbers, just the technique of how to convert them. So what I want you to think about now is what's something important to remember about converting measurement units. Answer that for me now, please. Very good. Thank you for your thoughtful response, and please come to class in order to check your answers, in order to ask questions, in order to um, get my support in trying to improve your grade and make corrections on anything that you would like to do to correct. Thank you. Take care.